When Lester Thurow became dean, he said that he felt that any major business school should understand Chinese-based economies.
He was saying, we are in a global world. Asia is going to be the center of the universe for the next 20 years, and Sloan needs to be a part of it.
He said, institutionally, we're going to commit to this region. That was a big step for any school at MIT. It was not the usual practice at MIT. It was gutsy.
And I must say some people resisted and say, well, we're not really a global economy. They had an argument then. They don't now. Lester pushed us in exactly the right direction. Certainly among American universities, we were way ahead of the pack.
When this program started, very few people imagined what it would become.
Lester Thurow is extremely bright, he's extremely articulate, he's a charmer.
I describe Lester as the best economics communicator in the world.
He was on television, he was in the press, he's a big thinker.
PBS, Newsweek, academic conferences, journals, books.
He was constantly in demand.
His audiences understood him, not true of all economists, I'm forced to say.
So the fact that he was a star helped him be the anchor for these events. He was the banner carrier, he was the one who put the stake in the ground.
Lester put Sloan on the map internationally. Our objective was to learn about China. We decided that the best way to learn would be to contribute.
China was a very important place that needed serious work on management and management education, and we had the goods and could help them.
When we went to China and expressed our interest in working there, we were overwhelmed with requests. They were distinguished universities, Tsinghua, Fudan, Lingnan, and Yunnan.
We said this is a partnership that's going to have huge impact.
When I initially went to China in the early 1980s, everyone was wearing dark suits. There weren't many vehicles.
China at that stage was very much a developing country.
And it was the China we all read about. Horse-drawn carts, lots of bicycles.
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 Millions of people on bicycles.
China was just beginning to open up to the outside world in terms of economy. It's also true that many of our students and faculty didn't have any substantial exposure and knowledge about that country.
I remember there was one student who, in one of my very early trips, told me how lucky I was that I came from a country that only had about 40 presidents, because he'd had to memorize the names of 4,000 years worth of emperors. The problems in communication, the problems in finding common ground requires a certain kind of person. And if you wanted a person like that, you'd think of Alan White. Alan was candid, straightforward.
A wise person with a good sense of humor.
He's a warm individual, a dear friend.
Patient.
A thoughtful person.
Keeps his eye on the ball.
But a serious fellow. You have to have an Alan White to make an organization go. I give Lester credit for the vision, but Alan credit for using his deep experience and knowledge in Asia to make it real.
Oh, Alan White is a rock star in China. I would be hard-pressed to think of a university that we have been working with in China where there aren't photographs of Alan White in a variety of places.
Alan is the extraordinary glue that has made MIT Sloan able to have a positive difference in China.
Alan brought a more holistic picture of the educational process. He immediately connected those schools with our staff that do admissions and placement, because a business school is not just teaching.
He was the guy who made the administrative machinery run.
Alan White is a person who understands human interactions. He understands the need for mutual respect. So his idea of international faculty fellows is a brilliant move.
The model we adopted in China was to bring the Chinese faculty here as colleagues and to let them see what we do, learn what we do, and take what they wanted from it. Because it's a different place and a different culture. Things don't automatically translate.
They saw professors willing to get their hands dirty with practice, also teaching practice and theory in the classroom. They said, this is different.
The Chinese faculty and the great students have helped us not only understand China better, but understand the world better.
The transformation in China is a great historic event. You go to Shanghai twice, 3 years apart, you don't recognize Shanghai. It's been a privilege for us to play a part, however small.
The MIT China program is really one of the jewels in the crown of the Sloan School. We've been very fortunate to work with the best universities in China, with great faculty, very bright students, the best research.
To actually experience China, to work with faculty and to work with students in China has had a tremendous impact on my teaching here at MIT Sloan. It really has been a two-way process.
The large proportion of our faculty, not just the few who were interested in doing research in China, had a direct contact with a Chinese colleague. So in a sense, we connected the school to China.
There's nothing better than combining our students with the Chinese students so they solve the problems together.
If we can have more knowledge and management skills, experience from America, we can do better in the long term.
Go to the classes, listen to Nobel Prize winners.
It is an opportunity for the people on both sides to learn from each other.
In MIT, the students are coming from all over the world, no matter the India, from China to Korea or from Europe. And they give me a different kind of way to thinking.
It's important to learn from one another, especially when you're on different continents. It would change a lot of misconceptions. It's just the conversation itself, working together, creating and innovating.
I mean, that's the process of dreaming come true.
Lester, I want to thank you for the impact you've had on the school and setting us on the course that we've followed ever since.
We are here because of you.
Look what you have created. It's been tremendous.
You should be very proud. You've left a lasting mark on all of us.
Thank you for being the extraordinary leader that you are. It makes a huge difference to MIT.
And of course, Alan, I have to thank you for sustaining this collaboration, for being its advocate, for being its driving force, for being the guy who, even though jet lag kills you, got on an airplane every time it made sense to get on an airplane.
Alan, we could not have made these programs grow to the magnitude and to the level of quality and to the success that we've experienced without your leadership.
We're going 20 years strong, and I believe that it has another 20 years and maybe 40 years in the future. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for continuing to create a great future for China and for MIT.
There's so much interesting work to be done.